This is the voice of freedom. We are not one voice. We are many. We are your voice. But we can only be effective if you use your voice. Your voice. This is the voice of freedom. We will not hide from the truth. We will ask the hard questions until we are sure we have the truth. Welcome to the voice of freedom, where your voice will never be silenced.
Hello, folks. Welcome to the show. Another exciting one tonight. Boy, did we get some reaction last week when we had Patriot101. Red Pill Glenn. I keep going to call him Red Pill Phil because it just feels better off the tongue. But anyway, Red Pill Glenn. Wow, I got to tell you. I hope you enjoyed the show. Certainly, I got a lot of reaction through the email and comments about it. Thank you very much for everything that you've sent through, folks. We really appreciate your thoughts. And, well, we got a whole heap more of it tonight. Without further ado, sorry we're running a bit late. We were just chatting a bit longer back behind the scenes before we got underway. Good evening, Red Pill Glenn. We can finally... How are you, buddy?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Good to be on your channel finally with my face and all. So, lovely.
Buggy your face. Tell us about the...
Yeah, okay. So, I've had a hectic day. I sort of had a bit of a chat to you about this earlier today, so a bit rattled. But we're settling in now and starting to get everything organised. What we're going to chat about.
Calm down. Tell us about your guitars.
Okay. I have 20 guitars. I've got three acoustics, a heap of electrics there, all different types. I played in rock bands, blues, jazz, lots of different things. So I just sort of, anyone who wants me to play guitar for them, I just jump in there and just freestyle it for them. Mate. Yeah.
So general muso and reasonably good one from what I'm told.
Oh, I don't know. Well, no, I like to be humble and that sort of thing. I played for a long time, 35 years. So 35 years.
When was the last time you walked into? When was the last time you walked into a shop and played "Stairway to Heaven" on a guitar?
Oh, that's disallowed. You're not allowed to play that in them shops. So I'll definitely frown at you. There's a few. So Peter Gunn, you can't play that one either. So.
Oh no, right. What about the Angels? No Secret.
I think you can get away with that one. That's pretty good. Yeah, like we played it a couple of times at parties, and everyone starts like dancing and having a great time. So it's a good song. Yeah.
I can probably do the bass line on that. That's about it.
That's good. That's good enough. That's good enough.
It's not hard.
Not too
all
much
right, mate. Let's get on to it. Last week we introduced people, certainly some people, to tunnels and DUMS for the first time. DUMS. I got a few questions about during the week. DUM stands for Deep Underground Military Base.
Absolutely.
And not necessarily the mentality of those that are hiding in them.
That'd beg to differ.
Well, okay. You know more about it than me. Now, listen, mate. I know you've got some pictures and stuff you're going to show us. You may have some video you're going to show us too. We were talking during the week. There are some very interesting scenes in cities around the world. In fact, I saw one of the most interesting fires I've ever seen in my life today. That just seemed to be coming out of the street.
Yes, that's where I was going to have a chat to you about the one from the street. I still haven't been able to locate that within my channel, but what I'm going to do is once I get it, I'm going to post it down to the bottom of my channel so people will get a chance to see that. So I'll cover that now because we're having a few troubles finding. There's so many, as you know, as you're posting, there's just so much information that you're going back through it all, and it's like very hard to pinpoint that one video sometimes. So, but I will find it. I will find that video for you 100%. So
I'm just going to see whether or not I can find it because it was sent to me by a mutual friend.
Okay.
And I'm just trying to see if I can find that channel.
While you're trying to find it, I did post a video tonight on my channel. It's the last post I posted. And it's a drive-through of the DUMS and tunnels. I couldn't actually save it to the computer. I could only put it onto the Telegram channel. It wouldn't come across, if you know what I mean. So I just decided to post it there if anyone wants to have a look at that. So yeah.
So let me just see. I actually had a watch of this earlier. I've seen it before, and that's the sound of it you can hear there. It's very
That's the
beautiful.
one. Yep. Yep.
I'll just see if I can. This is very strange. I'll just see whether or not I can share my screen. Do you want to play that now, or do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, we can do that now. It's about 5 minutes. That's okay.
Well, I was thinking if we turn the sound off, we might be able to talk over it, because
We can do that. That's perfect.
Once it gets going, it's at the end of the day, it's not a terribly exciting video.
No, it's just basically an overall view, so people get an idea of what these things look like inside. Like,
and we might be able to point out a few things about that. Let me just see if I can. No, it's not even seeing Telegram.
Gotta love technology, don't you?
Yeah, we should have pre-planned this a bit earlier. I beg your pardon, folks.
That's okay.
Yeah,
I have footage of the TRB and lots of stuff like that as well. So,
beautiful.
Yeah, I've got all that stuff I can share as well. So that's no problem.
So people are going to say the TR who? What the who?
Okay. So what the TRB is? It was a spacecraft that was designed around the 1990s, I believe, early 1990s, and it's triangular in shape, and it's like triangular prism sort of a shape.
Yep.
And it's anti-gravity. It runs on plasma. Like, it has mercury. The mercury is highly compressed, and it creates a plasma, and that plasma creates anti-gravity around the craft. So it's way beyond the comprehension of most people of how this stuff works, because they've just kept it from us, if you know what I mean, like, without letting us know. So, and then there's another one that's come out later, which is more stealth and it's more sleek, and that's the Black Mantra, which is also a TR3B. It's a different type of craft.
And
so
these seem to have been more prevalent recently. That like we've seen them a bit more recently.
Yeah, there's been a lot of reports of seeing them over in America and a lot of the deserts in America. So they generally pop up in deserts. Apparently, that's where a lot of the military bases are, and they do a lot of the trials. Or I suppose that's where they take off. But they do have cloaking devices on them. So, and I can only imagine how.
Now, how do they move? We see spaceships or the UFOs that we see move terribly quickly, can change direction instantly, at 90 degrees. G-forces alone, inertia alone, doesn't compute with us and gravity. Any ideas on how these craft work like that?
Yes, I was listening to a video with Gene Decode. We mentioned Gene, and Gene was explaining about these craft. He said they have like a panel that you put your hands onto. And once you put your hand onto this, we're talking different quantum computer systems. So these quantum computer systems read your mind. So you become one with the craft. So when you want to think, go left, go right, go up, go down, you actually think it, and this actual craft does it for you as soon as you think it. So that's why it's so quick. And so
how does that
direction?
Yeah, but how does the inertia and the change of direction, the dead stop, go up, go down, go left, go right? How does the inertia not kill them?
Because of the plasma field that's created around the outside of it, it basically takes away that inertia inside the craft itself. It creates like a what would you say, like a void in there that doesn't get affected by inertia. It's much the same as the maglevs, the maglev trains. So once they shut them down, so they work on sort of same principle, that it's like, say, inside a spacecraft, for instance, totally sealed unit. Yeah, frictionless. Yeah, this is why I say to people, like, imagine, say, a fly can fly inside a train, but if that fly flew outside the window of the train, it'd go that way. But if it's inside the train and traveling with the train, it hasn't got the inertia on it of the atmosphere.
Yes.
If you know what I mean.
Right.
It's the same sort of principle, but you get what I'm saying. But the plasma actually adds to that effect, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It creates like its own little environment, which is free of. It's a strange concept to get your head around. It seriously is. And these particular craft, from what Gene says, apparently you place your hands on it, but if someone else places their hands on the craft, they can't fly this craft. The craft knows if it's you. So the only way they can actually fly that craft is if you were to pass that craft over with your mind to the person who's about to fly it.
Sounds like the handgun out of Judge Dredd to me.
It sounds crazy, but yeah, it was created by the deep state. So
Yeah,
you know, as long as
yeah.
things can be used for good and things can be used for bad, I believe. And if it's in the wrong hands, it can be used for bad, and the right hands can be used for good. And I do believe that a lot.
Yeah, and clearly that must be able to be programmable because you know, people or whatever's flying these things, putting their hands on the controls, do pass away for other reasons, or you know, may not be available on that day. Somebody might need the craft for another reason, so they must be able to reprogram it.
I would assume there's some way of overriding it. Like maybe that craft would sense that person's deceased.
Yes, true.
Yes, you know, like so they just sense that the person's deceased. It's quantum. See, if we picture quantum computers, they're nothing like our computers we see today. You're not thinking microchips and components. It's a totally different thing. It's like totally on plasma and electricity. It's a different sort of a system. It's far beyond anything.
It's much more like the TARDIS. I'll put it
much more like the TARDIS. Apparently, these ships, some of these ships, are like that. They look a lot smaller than what they are inside because of their cloaking devices and mechanisms they use to keep themselves look small. Yeah, this is good intel from a few different channels that I've studied over the years. So yeah,
there is a wealth of channels. Let's just talk about that for a minute. I've been asked the question many times, and I'm sure you have. Where do you get your information? If I got asked that once today, I got asked it 15 times. And it's not in an accusing way. It's not, oh, where do you get your information? It's like, well, how do you find this? Where do you go to do all this? Why? How do you know this and I don't? Do you want to give people a bit of an insight into what goes into putting your channel together, particularly?
Sure. That's a good question, Carl, because I want people to learn how to do this for themselves. Like, for so long, the mainstream media and the curriculum has fed the people, and it's time for us now to become the researchers of this sort of stuff. You know, like, so I mean, I can feed people through my channel loads of information, but that's up to their discernment whether they believe it or not. Then it's also up to them to go do a bit of further research outside of, say, Google or YouTube. To go into other channels and have a look as well, you know, look into other platforms, to go off DuckGo, for instance, or Brave, or one of these channels that don't censor so much the information you receive. And then you can have a look for yourself. And what I do, if I see a video, I like that video, it seems to ring all the right bells about the situation, what's happening at the moment. I'll also take notes, jot down notes, and I'll read further into it. I'll go look in other sites and look at information pre these last 2 years in relation to it as well. So I'll go right into other videos or into other documents or evidence that's there to find out whether this is something that could be true or not.
You look for corroboration, or you look to dismiss, don't you? It's either corroborate or dismiss.
Corroborate or dismiss, you know, like, but there's a lot of work goes behind the scenes of doing that, you know, like I have to sit and take notes, constantly take notes, you know, like of what I do. So if I can go over a video, because you'll get some videos that are very convincing and you'll think, oh, wow, that's really cool. Then you'll come right to the 3/4 into the video and the red flag goes up and you see that red flag, and I'll explain what the red flags are, you know, like, if a video starts off really good, it's telling you all the information, and then come to the end of that video and it's promoting fear, that's a red flag, because the deep state operate out of fear. They use fear as a weapon against people. So to keep people in fear is to keep people in control. So if I see that in the video, that is trying to make people accept defeat already. And that's not how it's going to work, because we're not going to do that. We're not going to lay down and let that happen. This is our Earth. These are our kids, and this is our Earth. and it belongs to everybody, not just a bunch of over wealthy people. And that's going to end. That's going to end real quickly.
And we will all be very happy with the outcome. Some of us might be a bit shocked. But it's going to be a very good outcome for us all. People are saying brave. I don't know that it's brave.
Brave.
I mean,
brave
there are elements of bravery required, but it's almost braver.
It's duty. It's duty.
It's duty for those of us that are willing to stick our hands and feet into this mess and have a look. The bravery comes from those people whose eyes are not opened yet, or not opened wide enough yet. You have to be brave to see what we've seen. You have to be brave, and then you have to be brave while you explain it to others.
Yes.
And you have to help them be brave, because if they're not going to be brave, they're going to be bloody angry. And they're
going to keep that inside. If they have nowhere to vent that anger, they're going to keep that inside them. It's going to eat them up, and eventually it affects them, no one else. You know, like, so at the end of the day, we have to wake up to what's going on in the world. We can't put our heads in the sand anymore. You know, like, we've had enough
Chew.
time.
Run that. Beg your pardon, Glenn. Yeah, Chew was saying he didn't mean you were brave or we were brave. He was talking about the browser brave. Quite right.
Brave the browser. Sorry about that. Okay. Yeah, Brave browser. Yeah, that's I'm not sure what it's like now, but it was a good platform. I don't particularly use it. I just go through DuckGo myself. But even there's not really many platforms that aren't infiltrated, if you know what I mean. So at the end of the day, it all comes down to discernment. They don't take everything. So we've got to do the treasure hunt and look. You know, like, it's consuming.
Yeah, it's time consuming. That's exactly what it is. My answer is I read as much as I can. If I find something that tweaks my interest or doesn't ring true with something else I've read previously, then I'll go back, find that, follow the thread. I do take notes too. I don't sit down and I don't know if you do, Glenn. It's impossible for me to sit down and watch the 3-hour videos that people send me to watch and say, oh, you got to watch this and you got to watch that. I simply do not have the time to do that. And if people are going to do that, then by all means, please send them to me, send the link to me, but send me the timestamps that you want me to see, so I can go to them, look at it, and then move on. Because we just don't have time to sit down for 3 hours on one topic. Unless, of course, it's something like the Fall of the Cabal series, which I would highly recommend to anybody who may not have seen that. It is available on BitChute. Other bits,
very
it'll
good.
give you a great deal of explaining what's going on. So last week we talked a little bit about we talked a lot about the tunnels and the dumbs, but their creation. I've had a lot of miners come and send me emails during the week about, how do they dig these things? And we were in the industry, we'd know if these things existed, and So we are of the belief that the machines that they use to dig the tunnel systems that we talk of are very similar to the machines that are used to dig the tunnels under harbors that we know of today. But they are powered differently and they are longer, and they have different mechanisms on the outside, like the ones that we know about, lay a roof, if you like, and walls as they go through the tunnel, using cement that's
They
shipped in.
Nuclear head cutter that basically cuts the stone. Cuts the stone and melts it and turns it into glass. So you get like 8 inches of glass all the way around coating the tunnel, which is pretty.
And it is a perfectly round tunnel, isn't it? From what I've seen in most of them. Anyway. The only time they get flattened out is when they throw a bit of dirt in the bottom for the road.
Yeah, or they're blowing them up.
Oh, they're blowing them up. I don't know if you've seen that one, folks. There is actually a magnificent video of a team blowing a tunnel, and they're standing at the very end of the tunnel when they blow it, and it's an amazing video. We'll have to see if we can dig that one up, Glenn. I'm sure that the viewers would love to check.
The footage of that's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool video. Have you got it there?
Yeah. I haven't got it here. No.
Okay.
Dig it up,
We'll have a better
It's like a couple of
preparation night.
yeah,
Next week I'm off
we'll dig it.
work.
Oh,
I'm
cool.
off work.
All right. Well,
Yeah, I'm off work next week, so
we'll-
I'll have plenty of time to sit there and focus and prepare better for this next podcast. So, but yeah, tonight
now,
we can explain a few things. So,
yeah, so the tunnels in Australia are extensive. I've had communications today with a lady who lives south, if you like. Let's put it that way. The tunnel networks south are quite extensive. All the southern states are full of them,
Sure.
and when I say all the southern states, I mean even Tasmania, and
Yes.
even our southern part of Antarctica that we own, or the northern
Absolutely.
part of Antarctica that we run in.
Yes.
So tunnels all around. So Glenn, what can you tell us? Last week we were talking about the dams being cleared. I personally believe we're a lot closer to the end of that now than we have ever been.
I agree. As I've been watching the earthquake geoscience, which is the Australian government website, they don't hide it. There's been earthquakes right across Bass Strait for quite a while now, like in different areas of Bass Strait. So
Yeah.
there was apparently a V tunnel coming out of there. One went to Victoria, and then one went through to South Australia in that sort of a shape. So it looks like that is the actual areas where these earthquakes are going off, and they're all 10 k's deep, these earthquakes. So they tried to make an excuse for that 10k deep thing.
I know.
But yeah,
It's the default setting for the seismology machine or whatever it is. Yeah.
yeah, of course it is. Of course it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's useful to have a seismology machine and set to a default depth.
But I'd like to ask the questions about the 1 and the 2k deep ones that I saw.
Well, you and me both. In fact, there was one.
Yeah.
There was one today off Taiwan. Oh, well, a couple of days ago off Taiwan that was 1 kilometer deep, but registered 6 on the Richter scale.
Wow, that's a good one. That's a big one.
So that's one because we've heard stories about Taiwan. We've heard that is aside from one other state, the last state that will be treated. That will be the deep bases that are under there, held by the CCP.
That sounds like a rod of God. That sounds like a rod of God job, that one.
That's what I was thinking.
Absolutely.
1 kilometer deep and registered 6, and there was no tidal wave.
Yeah. Rod of God. Rod of God, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to see one of the things go off in front of me. Like I'm missing it.
Well,
better than fireworks.
There was. I don't know if it's still available. I kept the vision, but I've since had a computer failure, and I've probably lost it all. The Nashville Christmas Day bombing in 2019, 2020.
Yeah. I do recall. Yeah.
So the story with that was that there was a motorhome that was parked out in front of a large American bank, and a speaker went off, or a recorded message went off saying, in 15 minutes, this bus is going to explode, or this van is going to explode, evacuate. And that message went on for 17 minutes, call police, evacuate the area. Police managed to evacuate the area, and sure enough, it did eventually detonate. They later found the body of the fellow, the terrorist, if you like, who was inside it, what was left of him at any rate. And that was the public story, that, a madman tried to blow up AT&T. It was not a bank, it was a telecommunications hub. Now, there was no CCTV footage of it outside of the actual explosion, and that was so instantaneous that and CCTV footage runs at a frame rate that's not really possible to slow down very well or clearly, so there's no clear footage of it. And the only long range shot came from a CCTV camera mounted a couple of blocks away on top of a building. And what that showed was the strangest spiraling smoke trail coming from what people would, you would naturally call a missile, but missiles don't leave spiraling smoke trails.
No.
And it was coming from a very low angle of the horizon, but it had come from the clouds at a low angle of the horizon. And it was so fast and so bright when it hit that everything just sort of sparked out, went bright, faded off, and then the camera came back and, there was a bit of smoke. But
Yeah.
that, I believe, was the first show of a rod of God
Yes.
from the White Hat. We've
Yes.
got something.
And then we've got the
And
Tonga volcano as well.
And yes, the Tonga volcano being the next use.
That's it.
The backstory that I heard about that van was that the White Hats got the message that that van was loaded with enough explosive to level the block, and the reason it was loaded was because the AT&T hub was a hub for the deep state telecommunications centers, and a lot to do with the voting and all that
5G.
sort of stuff. So they wanted that destroyed because they were going to get caught with it. But the White Hats had got in earlier, figured out what had happened. They intercepted that bus, shot the bloke driving it, unloaded 95% of the explosives that were on it, left a little bang on it, and then hit it with a rod of God. And it was so precise, absolutely precise.
Good job,
Yes.
boys. Good job.
So,
Good job. Look, I want to say that I just want to, take to these guys that are fighting this rubbish down in these tunnels, like this is beyond any war of any other kind, really. And these guys have to see way more than anyone should have to see. Like the courage of the courage of these soldiers is just beyond anything you could ever.
Yep.
In this.
Struggling with the connection again. We might be talking about things they don't want us to talk about. I'll just have a look at my connection, folks, and see what I can do about it. Doesn't say I can do much about that at the moment. Everything seems to be working at my end. However, everything at Glenn's end seems to be frozen. There you go. There's a bit of a shock, eh? We've gone out well. So let me have a look at some of the questions. Yes, they did seem to freeze him. He's dropped out. He might come back. Are the 5G towers active? I don't believe the 5G has been turned on yet. At least it hasn't been cranked up if it has been turned on. So yeah, be wary of that, particularly on the roads. If you're going to be on the roads the day they turn that on, just be careful. Just having a bit of a look to see if there's too many other questions. There's somebody, Tonga volcano. Yeah, TZ or TZ. Do you know anything about the Tonga volcano? Is that what you're asking? Tonga volcano was not a volcano explosion. It was hit by a rod of God, and they drained the volcano into the hypertube or the train link between the Pacific and or across the Pacific, going to America from Australia. So they've drained a volcano into the thing and flooded it with the Pacific Ocean. So whatever was in there had a very bad day that day. It was, and look, people can laugh all they like at me saying that. Glenn, obviously you're on the same page with me.
I'm on the same page. Yeah.
And if you know anything about volcanoes, it was the funniest, weirdest, strangest looking volcano eruption you've ever seen. And it all seemed to just end immediately. And that's the weird thing. It acted more like an explosion than a volcanic eruption. It didn't go on for days afterwards.
Then if we cross over to La Palma, that went for quite a while.
Yep.
Like if you see the difference. So you got La Palma constantly erupting. Look, there was footage of that, and I'd love to try and find that. There was footage of that volcano slowed down before it actually erupted, and you see this long rod-shaped item hit the water and little tiny splash, and then a massive kaboom. So as slowed down, you could actually see a rod of God going through that water into that water. So yeah, that's that was captured. We had that. That's earlier in my channel somewhere. Once again, I've got a lot of things I've got to bring and post and bring up on this channel with you, Carl. So lots of things to share.
That's all right. We've got plenty of time to share it, and with a bit of luck, I'll get down your way. We can share it in person. We are trying to get on the road with the show. Ricardo's very graciously suggested or allowed me to take our Tuesday night chats on the road so the folks can ask him questions, and I'm pretty happy to do that every night of the week, and I know you'd be happy to take questions from the audience at any time. So we'll see what we can do. We might wind up getting this little traveling circus on the road yet, and you're the entertainment, brother.
Let's do it.
If you can play Mustang
so
that's
Mustang Sally. No, yeah, I can play it. It's just whether we do play it or not. So I'm one of them guys that tries to steer clear of the songs that most people play. You know what I mean? Like, so if you go, I try and work out other songs that people haven't heard for a long time, and just play them, like, because it's not something that you'd ordinarily play. You know, like, so, because you go to most pubs, you hear Brown Eyed Girl or Mustang or, you know, all the same songs, and it's like, okay, let's try something different here. So.
Absolutely.
Always outside the square, mate. Always outside the square in every way.
I like that. Well, take us to the next square. Where are we going next?
Okay. I was just going to go into where I started finding out about tunnels, and back in about 2004, when I think we spoke about, I saw the skies being sprayed. Thought I'd look deeper into that. Popped through one rabbit hole into another, and started to see that the Walmart shops were being emptied out in America. And I was watching this on YouTube. So this must have been way before all the YouTube was censoring so hard. It was showing the Walmart shops being emptied, and they were putting barbed wire fences up, but the barbed wire on top of the fence was facing inwards. And when you face barbed wire inwards, that's to keep somebody in. So that got me thinking, well, what are they doing over there? And then there was a report, looked like they were setting up camps, putting railway tracks into them, taking all the supplies from Walmarts straight into the tunnel systems. There was actual footage of the trucks going down into these tunnels. It was just crazy when you saw all these different entrances and all these different trucks. And you tried to tell people back then, and they're like, "Oh, that's all right. They just have tunnels. Tunnels are everywhere. You know, like it's." But to the extent of where they are is just. It's crazy. Like, if people knew how webbed this earth is of tunnels, they would just not believe, like, to see the mapping systems, which I do post from time to time on my channel. You see the mapping systems, you'll just be gobsmacked. I'm blown away. There's been a lot of hard work on.
Heard in the last week that they've actually found ancient cities deeper than we'd first thought. You know, over 250 kilometers down.
Yes, that's correct.
And these two are being destroyed because they don't want to give them anywhere to run to.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. You got to put the rat holes up before you get rid of the rats. You know what I mean? So, and that's the thing. So they're flooding the dams, they're flooding the tunnels. They're doing lots of different. There's lots of different ways they're cleaning up these systems, and some of the places obviously they can't blow the tunnels up because it's underneath structures where it's heavily. A lot of people living in those areas. So, and some of the buildings might be older buildings with old bits or whatnot. It's too dangerous, you know. Like, so there's some areas they can't let off explosives under the ground, but there's other areas where it's out in the open, like say Pine Gap, Tennant Creek. All those areas you can just let it rip, you know, like, and they need to, I guess. So you think about it that way, the rock structure in Melbourne is a lot different than the rock structure in Sydney, but Sydney and Brisbane are very similar in the structure of the stone. The foundations of the buildings are very similar in the stone that they're built on. So, you know, that they've got to do all that sort of work to check whether the stone can take a blast at that depth, 10K deep or whatnot, you know, like, so there'd be a lot of work behind the scenes to find out what can be done to seal these things up for good. Yes, or flood them.
And a lot of this water that we've had down the east coast has stayed below ground, so it hasn't escaped. So
that's correct.
They've
correct.
Flooded. Flooded.
That's correct. Yeah. Yeah, I've heard a few little stories fluttering around and about all that rain, and that was a part of a flooding exercise.
Yeah.
That's the only way to. So I can't say I can verify that completely, but I have heard it from a few different sources. So, once again, that's my discernment thinking that would be the case, and everyone else has their own decision on what's happening. But I feel that's what's happening with that. With
Can
the
I take
flooding.
you out of Australia for a moment? South Africa. South
Yes,
Africa is a troubled country. Africa in
very, very,
general has been racked by the deep state, well,
very, very
forever.
bad. Yeah, very bad.
So obviously the world can't proceed until the world is all on the same page. I was of the belief that much of the issues with South Africa had been cleared, particularly with regarding dams and tunnels,
Correct.
and tunnels in North Africa.
Correct.
3 tunnels in particular that stretched to Gibraltar.
That's right.
So
Very long time.
yeah, very long and very deep.
Very-
And very wide apparently too.
Correct.
So some of the widest that they've ever found.
I'd like to explain maybe. Sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I have friends in South Africa. Do you know anything of what's going on over there at the moment?
I have a friend, not South African from the Congo, but South Africa. I've only gone on the intel that I've received, as in through research, and I have
Yep.
heard the same as you that South Africa has now been clean, but it was one of the worst in the world as far
Yeah.
as basically the whole bottom of South Africa was just tunnels. The whole bottom was just webbed with
Yeah.
tunnels, really, really badly. So
Yeah.
there was a massive
And
cleanup.
of course, their political system, of course, is one of the most corrupt in the world as well, and just seems to be
Terrible.
breaking now that the president is now under investigation for having foreign currency when you're not allowed to have that in the country, for hold it for more than 7 days. So yeah, there does seem to be some interesting things happening in South Africa. So
Yeah, and the
fingers
US.
crossed.
Yep, in the US as well. There's a lot of apparently there's a lot of CEOs resigned today as well through the US. So a lot of big name corporations, CEOs just threw the towel in. So they're jumping ship and the ship's gonna sink. A lot of people will be
So
jumping ship.
speaking of people jumping ship, rats, running from the sinking ship. One of the discussions I had with one of the people today was particularly concerning those evildoers who've been on our streets taking our kids.
Yeah.
This person was deeply concerned that they're going to get missed in this sweep, where we're finding everybody involved with all of this. That these locals, if you like, the happy smiley faces that you see behind counters and under uniforms every day, are going to not get caught up in this sweep. Now, you and I know that that isn't the case, but I can't exactly explain how these people are going to be swept up. Do you have any idea?
You're pretty much talking about the ones who are tied to this, but you don't know. Yeah.
I'm talking about the finders, the ones who
find the
who
children for them. Yeah.
find the children, and may abuse them in ongoing times.
Yeah.
We know
Well,
that they,
see. Yeah.
it's not just kidnapping. They find kids, they threaten them, and they do horrendous things to them under threat that they will kill the parents or kill the brothers and sisters or whatever. So the little kids submit, and that's
Yeah.
one of the ways that they keep them quiet.
Sure.
So yeah, the person I was speaking to is very concerned that that kind of person is going to get missed in this sweep.
Well, I'll tell you one thing: what they won't get missed, because you got people like WikiLeaks, and you have people who are very smart out there. And these people are not smart. They might be crafty, but they're not smart. They're not intelligent. They always.
Oh, see, now they don't like it when you start talking truth, now do they? Oh, he's back. I can see you, but can I hear you? Oh, I don't don't know. He's having a bit of a night. So yes, crafty is one thing. Smart is something completely different. So these people will be found, and certainly if you have evidence of it, keep that evidence, because there will be a time and a place where you will be able to present it, and these people will be called to answer for the crimes that they've committed. Someone doesn't like Glenn, Sue. Yeah, look, I don't think that's the case. I just think he's got between he and I'm surprised we're still on the air with our internet connections. We generally get pretty hammered, and we've spoken about a couple of things here tonight that I don't think many people are going to be too happy with. Studsies, thank you. Yes, Oprah Winfrey did start that African school for underprivileged girls. You're quite right. I have no doubt we will be hearing a lot more about that in the not too distant future. Dictator Dan is doing all sorts of things down in Victoria at the moment. I believe that there is some very significant moves being put on by the newly appointed United Australia Party Senate member, is it exactly? I'm not quite sure. He's apparently going to kick up in a hell of a stink and hang Dan Andrews out to dry. So I don't know if that's going to be the case. I'll be surprised, because he thinks he's going to be running the show. He's wrong. Clive will run the show. He'll do what Clive tells him to do, or he'll be an independent without the UAP backing. So you stopped kicking your modem, have you, mate? Or
I just don't know what went on there. These gremlins and these computers. What's going on with that? Anyway, that's life.
yeah, well, they're your gremlins tonight. Touch wood. So yeah.
That's what you get when you've got a computer. So that's what you get when you've got a computer that's got a little bite out of the apple on it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I got that one sitting over there, and I suppose I could run it as a backup, but I don't, because I don't trust it enough. So yeah, I use that one as a monitor, just to make sure that everything's still working.
Sure.
So where were we? We were talking about South Africa, and hopefully that's cleaned out and moving on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I really wish I could grab this video off Telegram, but it is just not going to let me save it in any way, shape, or form.
Is that the drive-through?
This is this flame, this dry flame that is coming out of the road systems, and it seems to be coming out of sewers, out of manhole covers, out of the base of trees, where the vents for the water and crap around the tree bases go, and a hellish wind blowing that flame, sideways across asphalt that seems to be catching fire as well.
I've got a good story for you now that you've mentioned that. I have a friend. I have a great story. I have a friend from the town where I live, and he's not awake at all. This guy, he's a friend, as in someone I speak to regularly. He walks by, acquaintance, I could say. He stopped one day and he said to me, he goes, I was driving my motor, because we've had a lot of explosions underground around here recently, because we come from a bit of a mining town. So but there's not mines, because we've already called up the mines. They're not the mines, it's not the military. So not the military, the Australian Army, doing any tests or anything like that on their weaponry. So we've already made the phone calls every time it's happened. We've had 3 in a row, big boom, 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 thuds under the ground, and everything's just shook. All the windows, the doors, everything around here is shook. And my mother said even one day everything was just shaking down the backyard. The bird cage was all shaking. Everything was pretty big booms. It went for like a roar afterwards. You could hear this like deep roar after the boom. You could hear this roar rumble go through, and it was like, I was like, yeah, I know what that is. So anyways, I had this guy walking by, and he said the other day a strange thing happened to me. So I was coming along the freeway. You know where Bulli? Have you been in this area before, like Bulli or Thurul or those areas?
I don't know that area very much at all. No.
Okay, so it's like an escarpment. It's a high up escarpment sort of thing, and the freeway runs up the top of that. And he was riding his motorbike along the freeway through there, and he said he felt this massive boom that shook his whole motorbike as he was riding along, and he saw this like cloud of orange, like a big orange cloud come out of the bush, and it came across the road and it hit him and it was hot. It was like a hot cloud, and it pushed him across 4 lanes. It was raining. He said to me, it pushed him across 4 lanes. He had to stop the bike because he was so scared of what just happened. He didn't know what it was. So that was, after the boom, there's like a massive orange cloud of coming straight across the freeway and pushed his motorbike over the other side of the freeway. So, yeah, that was a pretty cool story to hear, especially for someone who's not even researching any of this, So, yeah.
So I've had a fella contact me from a little bit further north, up Newcastle way. He was telling me about some very interesting mounds that are almost like man-made mountains that have appeared around Singleton, that are not mine spoil.
I've heard that.
He's not sure what they are.
I've heard that.
So he was he was taking the bike for a run because apparently it's on a bit of a twisty road. The guys on bikes like that sort of thing. So he was going to take his bike for a bit of a run. And I said, look, if you happen to pull over and want to stare at the view for a minute, and you happen to stare at it through your camera, and your finger takes a few photos, I'd love to see him. So hopefully he'll manage to get that to me over the next few days, and I'd be interested to see that. Very, very interesting indeed.
I know, 100%.
I'm just having a bit of a look here about
I was just going to explain too to people how they create these dams before they tunnel into them. This is just research, obviously, that I've read about, and they have these massive drills that are 96-inch bore, and that's, if you can imagine, 96-inch diameter. That's a massive drill bit. That it's like an auger.
That's bigger than most people's TV on the wall, even a big one.
Bigger than that. That's right. And these things, they carry a lot. They're 96-inch. They're 1.8 million pound thrust. So if you can imagine 1.8 million pound thrust, that's just beyond anything that we're using, or especially me in excavation. Like that's it's hard to even think about. So they have a nuclear head as well, apparently, like that melts the spill as well as it goes through and does the same thing, like creates a glass funnel straight down, or a glass wall all the way down as they drill. So these things can go up to 12 kilometers deep. That's the depth they can go down to now. This is crazy depth. So when they drill these holes down, then they, from what I've been told, they put a low yielding nuclear bomb inside that hole, plug the hole up and explode it. And then I would say, and I'm not sure about the following procedure, but I would say they re-drill again through, because when they exploded, it obviously caved the hole back in, and they drill back through, and then they feed in liquid nitrogen to cool all the rock after the explosion. So it creates a massive cavern. The nuclear weapon creates a massive cavern, and then that's where they run their tunnel systems through to meet the caverns, and they build their little dams or underground cities, as we call them, down there. And that's where they do all their cloning facilities and all their space technology and things that we don't get to see, plus all the other evil stuff as well that we won't go into too much here on this channel.
And people might remember a little while ago that in North Korea, they had a mountain base that was renowned for nuclear detonation and experimentation. And they had to close all that down simply because that was what happened to them. They detonated one too many big nukes under that mountain, and the accumulated number of detonation holes that they'd left underground collapsed, and the mountain collapsed in on itself.
Honeycombed it.
Honeycombed it. Yeah. So
totally rutted it out, and it all just fell in on itself. That's right. Correct.
Yeah.
But
have you heard of somebody called Ismail Perez?
No, I can't say I have. No.
No, there you go, Lillian. The answer to that is no.
Very, 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 very hard. Sorry, I was just saying it's very, very hard to see it all. So it's very, very hard to see everybody. You know what I mean? It's hard to. We have to stick to the ones that we can know and trust, and every now and then we get to have a look at something different. Like, because it's a time as well. So. Yeah.
So we haven't touched on Antarctica tonight, other than to say that there's been some earthquakes down that way, all happening to be at 10 kilometers deep. There has been a lot of pickup in chat this week about Tartaria and Tartaria australis.
Yeah.
You know much about the giant?
I do know a fair bit about that, like the Nephilim, as we call them. Yeah, I've posted a few
Right.
things on my channel with the Nephilim. I've got pictures of the size of the books they used to have. People reading these massive books. I've got all the bones posted on there as well, like where people have been doing this archaeological discoveries. From what I've been told, as soon as they were discovered, the Vatican ran in there and scoffed them up and took them away. So they didn't want people to know what was going on. So I've also got pictures of like real photos of giants on my channel as well, of people that have been with us in photos from the 1800s till now. So there's been a lot of giants still with us, but not so many today. I guess Andre the Giant's about the biggest one we've seen for a long time, the wrestler. So yeah, the biggest one we've seen for a long time. But
there is talk that some of those giants are quite large, up to 19, 20 feet tall. There is talk that a special forces team in Kandahar took one out.
Kandahar, the redhead one.
There are the red-headed one, yeah. And apparently there are images. I haven't seen them. I wouldn't expect to be high on the list of people who does get to see them, to be honest. So I said that I should be.
I've read the story, but I haven't seen it. No, I haven't seen it either. No. So
yeah. So apparently 3 or 4 of those have been found. Iraq, Israel, and I did hear Siberia.
Yes, I think I might have heard Siberia. I'm not too sure, but I'm pretty sure there's more of them. Like, well, there was more of them, we should say, because there's not many places for them to hide now. But yeah, I heard that one that came out and speared the soldier, and it took them about 3 minutes of heavy fire to drop it. Like 3 minutes of constant automatic weapon fire to make it drop. Yeah. No, that's
so
crazy. Hey,
I'm just having a look. We've got a few people who know about the Nephilim. Thank you, Freely Speaking, for going off and doing a bit of digging for us. That's all very cool. So, Glenn, you haven't been in the army, have you? Or have you been in the army?
No, well, we've all been in our own sort of army with this military world, I guess. You know, it is a military world, isn't it? Really, like, look at the police. The police even look like military these days. So I haven't been in the army, but I have been in my own personal battle efficiency course in life. Had a pretty hard upbringing, big family, no money, that sort of a thing. And in the first part of my life, we had domestic violence in our family, so I had to deal with that. Stand up to my father at a very young age. So I would say some sort of a battle efficiency course I've been through, but not the army though. No, this is our service now. This is my service now. My service is to make sure that people know what's happening, what's been happening for so long, and pretty much to the extent of how evil it has been, to wake people up to this, you know.
And we've yet to find the depth of that evil. We haven't found the base yet.
Not yet.
I don't think.
No,
maybe the guys who are in those tunnels fighting.
Yeah, we're going to find out. We've been told we're going to find out.
Yeah. So let's get on to that part of it. We're waiting. Obviously, we've got to get the bolt holes closed off before they can expose everything. But you know, chatter at the moment is going through the roof. The tempo of the chatter has lifted tenfold in the last 2 weeks.
Oh, for sure.
There is a lot more. There is a lot more coming out about American politics without naming names. There is a lot more coming out about international politics. There seems to be a lot of corruption trials kicking off, or people being arrested for corruption. People in high places all around the world. This isn't being reported in mainstream media, but the alternates are reporting it, and eventually mainstream media will have to pick it up. Do you see? Can you see that? this? Can you see where that point is going to be?
On the situation update that which I run through, which is We're the People News, that you'll get to see on my channel I post every night. Well, nearly every night they put a update on, and tonight they said that there's going to be a point where they've already been told. The mainstream media has been told they have to start telling the truth, or they're going to be losing their licenses for broadcasting. They've all been warned. The military's warned them all globally. They have to start telling the truth, and there's going to be a point where they're forced to tell it. It'll be given to them. Here, you have to tell. You have to tell what's happened, and that's how it's going to be.
Yeah.
So
read this story. Yeah.
Read this story, or you're going off air, and that's how it's going to be.
Yeah.
And it has to be that way, because until they go, these other people who are asleep are never going to wake. They're stuck in that MK Ultra land. You know what I mean? So there will be a point soon, I believe soon. And as Ricardo even mentioned, I think he said August, somewhere like that.
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
I mean, July is going to be a big month too. For some reason, I mean, July 4th is a big day in America anyway, but for some reason, I just have this feeling
Me too.
That something big is going to happen on July 4th.
Me also.
Now, big on what scale? You know, could it be, you know, the announcement of running for 2024? Could it be, you know, I wouldn't consider that big. I'd be let down if that's the only thing that happened on July 4. So I try to moderate any excitement I have with this sort of news with the fact that I've been hearing dates and times and places now for years, and we're still sitting here talking about it. So when I say August and when it says August, we say August, but who knows?
Yeah. We go on hunches. We go on hunches. That's it. We just go on a hunch. Really, that's all we can do.
Yeah.
So
and we analyze. Well, not just analyzing the data that we get and the access to the videos and all that sort of stuff that we get. We also, as part of that, analyze where it's coming from and how often it's coming.
Sure.
And what the information they're delivering is, how it's changed. So I've noticed both a lift in the tempo of the delivery of these information pieces. I've also noticed a lift in their graphic portrayal of what's coming. It hasn't lifted to a point where it's all blood and gore yet, but they have certainly lifted it, you know, pointed in that direction. Like, be aware, you're going to start learning things you don't want to learn and didn't think would ever be possible.
Situational analysis.
That indicates,
situational.
So we haven't seen that before.
Yeah.
We haven't seen that before, so I think that gives us some confidence.
Yeah. You can tell. I said the other day, we don't know the time nor the date, but we know the season. Like, and we are in the season now. And the desperation that we see in the mainstream media, that tells you the desperation that we're seeing in the mainstream media at the moment. It'll tell you that they're on the back foot. They're all on the back foot. They've lost the fight with this. You know what? This and that side of it's all died out now. The pandemic's all just over now. Putin solved COVID, putting an end to COVID. Yay, Putin. So it's it's all changing now. They've got nothing to report. It's all old news that we're getting on the mainstream media now, and people are getting sick of it. They're over it. They had enough. You know, like, they've been locked down with it for 2 years or 1.5 years or whatever. Locked down with that rubbish, and it continues and continues. And at the end of it all, a lot of people are going to wake. They're going to wake. You're going to get at least 60, 70%, I believe, will in the end just go, that's it. We've had it with this mainstream media.
Yep.
Because of their desperation.
Aaron wants to know what we know about stargates, portals, and what they're trying to open at CERN. Well, there's an hour's show all by itself.
That is, and I can cover a lot of that. Yes, definitely. Yes, I can cover a lot of that.
Right.
So next
stargates, are they the same thing?
Stargates and portals, pretty much. It's the same thing. Same. So a stargate and a portal
is CERN the heart of all evil on is CERN the heart of all evil on the world?
It had become that. Yeah, when it was built in Switzerland, and run under Lake Geneva and that area. Yeah, it had become that. That's where they were. Just a brief on that. That was where they were bouncing light against itself in a massive circle. This circle was huge. It's what I believe. I think it's about
27 kilometers, I think.
27 kilometers in diameter, and it's compressed light that they send at high speed. Well, even faster than the speed of light itself, and they bounce it off itself and create dark matter. Like they have a collision. That's why it's called a collider. They collide the light particles together as they come back around, and those light particles then create the dark matter. Apparently, create dark matter. And I've heard a single, like the size of a pinhead of dark matter, was put in a room with people for experimentation to see what happened, and they all went crazy and started trying to kill each other with one little tiny pinhead of this dark matter. So
once again, Hollywood can be looked to for some examples here. The Dan Brown movie Angels and Demons.
Yes,
was
absolutely.
based around CERN scientists and a matter that they created. So this has been in front of us. They've been telling us for years
a long time
what they're doing.
Oh, they put it in your face. They do.
There is rather dramatic video of what we believe to be a sacrifice on the lawns at the front of CERN as well.
Yeah, I saw that video. Yeah, that was from someone staying in like one of the apartments near there, filming through the window, having a satanic ritual in the courtyard. Well, did you see the opening of CERN, the satanic dance with the goddess Shiva? Was Shiva the god of destruction? Is their main? That's their main emblem at the front of CERN.
Emblem at the front. Yeah,
god of destruction. It's Shiva, in plain sight. All in plain sight. Nothing they do, they hide, but we just choose to put our head in the sand and not see it.
Yeah.
Everything's
exactly
in plain
right.
sight. It's all in plain sight. You only need to look and you will find it. I suggest sometimes, as people get to know the symbology and how they communicate with each other, and it's good to read about their symbology to know what they do, the hand signals and down to everything they use, is to turn your TV off turn the volume off your TV one night and just watch and have a look how much symbology you can pick out in the TV shows, the even down to the commercials. Everything you look at, you will see the symbology. It'll start poking its head out. Once you take away the volume, you see it more clearly. And
absolutely.
Yeah, you will see. Yeah.
And like a horror movie, it sort of takes the horror out of it. But when you know what those symbols mean, the horror sticks with you, sound or not. Trust me. So
some of them, well, yeah, most of them symbols, yes.
Right.
Yes, even in Disney.
So tonight, before we sort of sign off, we'll wrap up with a little bit of a summary. We're pretty confident that dumb operations and tunnel operations in Australia are almost, if not completely clear and over.
Pretty confident about that. Yeah.
We're thinking that really the Ukraine issue is the last one to get solved. We haven't spoken about it, but if you had to take a stab at when London Bridge might fall,
oh wow! Please hurry up
before July 4th.
Oh, they're dragging this one out. I mean, wow! It's like Weekend at Bernie's soon. They're going to be wheeling the Queen around everywhere. If anyone's seen the Weekend at Bernie show, you probably have, Carl. Yeah, that's what it's going to be like. Wheeling the Queen around on one of them fridge trolleys. You know, like that's what it's going to be like soon. So just get it out there. Tell us she's gone. She's over. It's
yeah.
So yeah. I'm confident. All that's cleaned up, and they should be announcing London Bridge down soon. I hope, because that's what they're waiting for. Because in the game of chess, you remove the queen protects the king. The game is over.
Yeah, true. Yeah, well, I'm expecting before July 4. So
that's gonna be a pop the champagne bottle day, isn't it? Wow.
It'll be a big day. There'll be a lot of conflicted people wondering why there are people out dancing in the street. But particularly in the UK, although I don't know how many will be out dancing in the street in the UK. You'd probably get shot on a day like that in the UK for doing such a thing. But yeah. So we're thinking that South Africa is pretty much cleaned up now too.
Yeah.
Throughout Europe, most of the dumb operations, I think all of the dumb operations in Europe are done.
Israel is last. Israel is last.
Israel is last. So that doesn't mean it's going to be fast. I mean, what is it? 13 miles wide. Yeah, so it's not a big place, but apparently what's going to come out of the ground out of that area is going to be extremely eye-opening.
Really, really big.
And that will form one of the first big red pills. So, and then the message is coming back again, watch the water.
Yep. Yep. Watch the water. And I believe watch the water means a lot of different things. Everything to do with water.
Yeah.
Water is what we drink. It's our life form. You know, like it's what makes up most of our body is water. If we put poison water, like we've got to watch our tap water. Do tests on your own tap water. Some people might have good tap water, some might have bad, but we need to know what's in it. Like it's like everything we put in our body, we need to know what's in it. So you can get your water tested to find out if there's chemicals in it, whatnot. You can take it to even I think the pool specialist can even test your water for you, but you just got to check and see if there's chemicals in your water, if there's heavy metals in your water. We need to know we're drinking good water. That's really important because I believe a lot of things that come out of our water, like fluoride and chlorine and pesticides, herbicides, you could think antibiotics. They find everything in the water that shouldn't be going through our water into our bodies. Put it this way, we didn't consent to it, so it shouldn't be in there. If you ask me, it's chemical. It doesn't belong on us.
Yeah,
it belongs in cars and pools.
Absolutely, it does. Absolutely, it does. Distilled water, very good, and not bad with cordial either.
That's right, 100%.
A lot nicer with cordial.
Well, I buy them. I buy them puree from Coles if you've seen them before in the cartons.
Oh,
the blue ones. The blue ones. We've tested that water. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. The ones with the bladder, like a wine cask. They're blue puree. Yeah. Funny enough, Coles sells something decent. So there's one thing in there.
Very funny.
Yeah.
All right. So next week, what are we going to be into next week? We get a bit of this video organized, and between you and I, we'll organize a few screen captures, make it a bit easier. I thought we might have been able, for some reason or other, this system won't allow me to bring up other browsers. So I do apologize. It was an unexpected problem I haven't confronted before. There's a
few places where I get my information from that'll come to mine but won't pass from there. If you know, they'll come to my channel. That's it. I can't share them from there. So that's just how they come in format. So if there's something like that, we'll talk on it, and then people can have a look afterwards after the show and check it out for themselves. And I'll just repost things as we go. If we can't get it up here, we'll put it on my channel so they can after we finish the show, they can go through and look at Patriot101 and just check out what I've posted after the show or before the show. So so that's a way of doing it if we can't get it up on the screen.
I'm just putting your Telegram ID up in the chat. So it's Patriot101, all caps, no gaps. We came up with that last week. It's his new marketing.
Top slogan.
Absolutely. So you'll be able to find Patriot101 and the intel that you tend to pour out. I know when you're excited because the phone just goes bunter.
Ding, ding, ding,
with
ding.
notifications.
Yeah. Sorry about that, guys. Sorry about that. But if there's something there, I can't. Like when it comes on the time, generally if it's date relevant, I've got to put it up. If I find something that's really cool, it's got to go up there, date relevant.
And you can always just you can always reach out if there's something you want to get out, and it's not a Wednesday, then it doesn't matter to me. Come on, we'll figure it out. So we'll just do another show. We'll do another live about it. If it's something people need to learn about, then we'll get it out there sooner rather than later. So you can always reach out, mate. Always very happy to talk to you.
Breaking news. We'll go to breaking news, Carl. Every time it comes in. So
I'll even make up the banner. Breaking news. I'll get that sorted. All right, great. Thanks again, mate, for coming in, and thanks to everybody who's tuned in tonight to check out the show. I did post at the top of the chat, or somewhere up towards the top of the chat, a link if you want to help us try and get this show on the road. I mentioned earlier, we do want to get on the road. We want to come and take the show to you, so you can ask the questions and not have me do it for you. After all, that's what the voice of freedom is all about. It's not my voice, it's yours. So it's pretty hard for you to get your voice heard if I don't stick a microphone in front of your face. And that's what we'd like to do. We'll get on the road, and if you can donate, then that link's up the top there. Every little bit helps, and we'll get a bit of gear and we'll get ourselves on the road and do it. Who knows? We might even get Glenn on the road with at least one of those guitars. And,
they go Yep, they go everywhere with me, Carl. My guitar, not all of my guitars, like my favorite ones go everywhere with me.
You're going to say you've got a roadie.
They've been to Canberra many
Very
times.
good.
They've been everywhere, these guitars. So, yeah.
Very good. Do you want to give Canberra a plug? You're heading back on July 2?
Trying to get down there on July 2. Hopefully it all works out well. Well, please, guys, everybody, if you're sitting at home, and I know it's cold now, it's freezing, get some snow gear, whatever you need to do. We need you to come. We really do. We need everybody's heads there. I love that. The 2.4 million march was amazing. It was awesome. If we can get that again and more, I'm going to be blown away. Absolutely gobsmacked. And we need to people need to show their concern. It's not enough just to sit there, see the information coming in and agree with it. We need to see feet on the street. So if we get the feet on the street.
Okay. So,
go for it.
Feet on the street. That's exactly it. I just want to have faith. Thank you for the super chat. That's lovely of you. Getting requests, mate. They want you to take us out with a song.
Oh, okay.
So it has to be. Now here's the kicker. Here's the kicker. It has to be an original song that you own the right to.
All right. Do you want to do an original song? Do we?
Well, you have to. Otherwise, I'm going to get banned for it.
You're all right, mate. This is YouTube. You can get banned for anything on here. So anyway, let's go with this. Okay. This is a song I wrote a long time ago called My Friend. All right. It's just a nice little ditty. It'll break the mood up after all the tunnel talk. Here we go. Can you all hear this? Lying in bed, 1,000 miles away, thoughts racing through my mind, and dreams of yesterday. Holding you close, our memory. Distance between us just isn't meant to be. One day you and me will always be together, my friend. Open your heart, can see it in your eyes. Don't you cry, you know I hate goodbyes. In a world of hope, in a world of dreams, in a world of so much make-believe, turn your head. Can't stand to see you crying. I can tell you now, it's me inside that's dying. Open your heart, don't try to hide the pain. you can hear me now, you know I feel the same. And one day you and me will always be together, my friend. Together, my friend. Thank you.
Hey, just spectacular.
Thank you.
Spectacular. I couldn't get that high if somebody kicked me in the nuts twice.
Depends on, you gotta wear tighter jeans, Carl. That's what it is. It's the tighter jeans, you know. Look at the Bee Gees.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, very true. They certainly wore very tight jeans. Mate, thank you for sharing your exceptional talent with us in all ways tonight. I really appreciate it. Now you've started something. You better have a new original song for us next week.
Okay. We can do some nice covers as well with some good covers, but my way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, as long as
relevant ones.
Taken off the air for it, that'll all work.
Oh,
we'll
okay.
go over and do it.
Copyright laws. We'll just change the words. We'll just change the words.
No, that doesn't work either. You've got to change at least every 8th note, otherwise they get very upset at you.
Okay.
And even now, I think they might have changed that rule a bit too. Wow. Anyway, it's great to see. Thank you to everybody. You've got rounds and rounds, like huge applause coming through on the chat for your song, mate. People are very impressed.
Thank you.
So as they should be. And so it is now completely debunked, folks. You heard it and saw it here first. Patriot101 can play and sing a guitar.
Yeah.
Don't ever let anybody give you misinformation about
that. Yeah, you fact checkers. Right.
Yeah, get that, you fuck checkers. All right, mate. Have a good one. We'll talk to you again next week. Thank you to everybody who's stuck around to the end. We've had a bit of fun. That's been great. And look forward to next week where we'll have a little bit more vision for you. We'll be a bit better prepared.
Yes, we will.
We only got the camera out today, so let's be fair.
I'll spend my whole early
thanks
week
for your time again tonight, mate.
Yes, you're welcome.
You're always a wealth of information. So
no worries. Shout out to all my subscribers out there, and I'd like everyone to like and subscribe to Carl's channel, Voice of Freedom, tonight. And see you next Wednesday.
Thank you, folks. That'd be great. Like and subscribe. Oh, a bit of Aussie Cossack news then, because you've been involved with the Aussie Cossack from time to time too, Glenn.
Yep. He's a funny lad.
And for sentences on June the 30th, and we would like everybody to pop along to the Burwood Court from 9 a.m. Where the Cossack will be sentenced. We don't know how that's going to go yet, but Mrs. Cossack will be there. She would certainly enjoy the support. And, of course, the Cossack wants you to be there too. He can hear you, even if it is only from the inside of the van as he's driving in and out. But we're looking to get as many people there as we can. Are you planning on turning up to that one, Glenn?
Oh, definitely coming to that. Yeah, 100%. I'll be there.
Very, very good indeed. And he's still locked up. He's still in solitary confinement. He is in maximum security. Wow. He is receiving your postcards, and I don't have the postcards here on this channel feed I've got. Let me just swap and see if I've got another one here somewhere. No, I must have moved them. I've been rearranging my. Oh no, here we go. There you go. I'll throw it up. So to have a bit of a look, if you haven't already done so, the Aussie Cossack is available to receive your mail here. Don't forget to put the MIN number on. It's important because he won't get it otherwise. He's loving getting the postcards. In fact, he is receiving postcards from all over the world, and it's keeping his spirits up. He is writing a great deal. He is, I'm sure, planning a comeback of immense proportions. So that's the latest I've heard. Might see if we can catch up with our mutual mate, Sean, who's got a little bit more insider information from the Russians. Well, he's been invited to the Russian embassy recently, so I've got to get him on so he can brag about that. I don't know if they presented him with a black leather coat and one of those fedora hats or not that the KGB used to wear, but
He had the
he looked good in it.
KGB coat on. Yeah, he had the KGB coat on. Hundreds. That's what Cossack said. You're the KGB, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Well, all good. All right, folks. So that's the deal. Aussie Cossack coming up June 30 at Burwood Court for the sentencing, and we would love to see you there from 9 o'clock. There is half a chance I might even be down for that. So love to see you there if that's going to be the case. And like and subscribe, because that's what the Aussie Cossack has always taught me to say, and I usually forget. So thanks for your endorsement, Glenn. And by all means, folks, Telegram is where you'll find Glenn. Not on YouTube, not on any other place, but you will find him at Telegram. Patriot101, all caps, no gaps. And that's how you will find his channel. Look forward to talking to you again next Wednesday night, my friend.
Same. Likewise. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Have a great night and have a great week.
Cheers.
See you, mate.
Good on you, mate.